Okay, vlog here. Vlog on Real Madrid 1, Manchester City 0. After what was the worst Champions League semi-final in memory. Wow, I mean, not just tonight, but looking at the first leg in the Etihad last week, it was just such a damp squib. At no point did it take hold or light up. Looking at it at half time tonight, it felt like a casual La Liga game between Real Madrid and Getafe. Um, I was wondering, did someone actually let City know that this was a Champions League semi-final? Because they were just so insipid, lacking in intensity, lacking in fight, hunger. It was like they felt, all right, we've got to the Bernabeu now. We got a 0-0 last week, and it's like a moral victory. Whatever's going to happen tonight. Just so poor, so poor. But then again, okay, most of the criticism has fallen on City's side, but for me, Jeff, Madrid need to take just as much heat for how bad the tie was. They are the 10-time European champions. They're the most decorated club in history in Europe. They're the team with the most expensively assembled players. Gareth Bale, Cristiano Ronaldo, James Rodriguez, okay, who's not in the squad. But just, they're the Champions League winners 2 years ago. There's a bit more onus on them to produce the spectaculo, and they were terrible over the two legs. Sure, they were missing Ronaldo in the first leg, but they had him on tonight, albeit not a fully fresh Ronaldo. And they didn't manage to score over the two legs. Just to be clear, City scored their goal for them because that was a deflected OG. So Bale, what was initially described as a golazo by Bale, but I was suspicious from the off once I saw it go in because of the flight of the ball, and sure enough it was deflected by Fernando. And that goal really was down to Kevin De Bruyne. Just, he's so unfit. Like, does the guy do any cardio? Seriously. Pink faced after 5 minutes and out of breath. Wasn't tracking back to help Clichy, leaving Clichy exposed, and Madrid really could have exploited that so much more over the two legs. But they got that one huge chance and they scored through it. Could have got another couple of goals in the first half. City were lucky to go in just a 1-0 down at the break, especially considering Yaya Toure and Sergio Aguero were acting like they were on a sponsored walk for charity. I mean, Yaya, he was so bad. So once their totemic steam engine, of their 2 Premier League title wins, he's now just like a handcar. He's just a rusty old handcar. Looked a couple of pounds overweight there tonight. Could barely. He was like between a walk and a trot, so like a trock, you might say. And he was just embarrassing, really. Collecting his paycheck at this stage, much like Aguero. I think Aguero gets people wax lyrical over him for his 4 or 5 goals against the West Broms of this world, but he has spectacularly failed in the Champions League this season. Stat attack for you via El País. He hadn't had a shot on goal in the last 4 Champions League games prior to tonight. Make that 5. He took 1 shot tonight. It was off target. So no shots on target in the last 5 games. The last one goes back to the second leg of the last 16 against Dynamo Kiev. And I'm just looking at him. I'm like, all right, on the one hand, it's a tactical mistake by Pellegrini to leave little Sergio Aguero, 5'7", being double marked essentially by Sergio Ramos and Pepe, the 2 hatchet men. But on the other hand, look, if you've been picked to play that role, move a bit. Try to get yourself unmarked and run the channels. He's no mobility or movement. He just was standing there locked in Ramos's pocket and playing into Madrid's hands. Then in the second half, I couldn't work this out. He was coming deep, acting as if he's an Argentinian enganche like Juan Roman Riquelme, coming down to the halfway line and playing these 5-yard passes. And I think I know why he was doing that. It wasn't for lack of service, because he had been getting the service. It was actually to try and make himself look good for a minute and say, look, I got a few touches on the ball. He was shockingly bad. Him and Yaya Toure was so bad. Looking through the rest of the team, the Fernando axis, so the 2 Fernandos, Fernandinho, Fernando, were quite poor tonight. You know, they really produced. They were last week at the Etihad and kept Modric very quiet. But tonight, it's amazing just the difference of playing home and away. They couldn't get into the game, and Modric danced all around them tonight. Fernandinho, incidentally, actually had City's other significant chance. So apart from Aguero's speculative shot late on, out of nowhere, so City were coasting through the first half, and then out of nowhere, Jesus Navas comes inside, plays it into De Bruyne, who then slips in Fernandinho, and he must score. His shot clips the outside of the post, but he had to score there, or at least trouble the keeper. Really wasteful opportunity from Fernandinho there. So yeah, Madrid win it 1-0. You know, but they couldn't close it out. They couldn't see it out. They were all nerves and edgy. Bale overrunning his dribbles. Ronaldo snatching at shots. I think he had 5 or 6 attempts. Never really. He had a decent header actually. Bale also hit the crossbar, the kind of the post/crossbar with a header. But okay, Ronaldo wasn't fully fit. But no one in the Madrid forward line, like Jesse Rodriguez, he had one good dribble where he danced past Otamendi. But I just can't fathom how he is in the team ahead of James Rodriguez. Okay, James comes on late on and does nothing, but if he's not being given game time, it's not really fair to judge him. He didn't get a second in the first leg. So James comes on and he looks short of confidence, and it's just really incredible to believe he was bought for 80 million. He was clearly overhyped and overpriced based on a few good games at the World Cup, but I do still think he's a very good player and well worth his place in this team ahead of Jesse Rodriguez. Anyway, what else can we mention about this game? So obviously Vincent Kompany's injury in the first half had a factor with City. Probably took the wind out of their sails a little bit, but I mean, come on, he's not exactly a libero building from the back. It shouldn't really have disrupted their play that much. When he went off, Mangala came on, did okay, but you look, players like De Bruyne and Toure just let the side down. I mean, I just think when Pep Guardiola comes in, I think he needs to do what he did with Ronaldinho and Deco when he came in at Barcelona, and do a bit of cleansing from the dressing room. And Yaya Toure, Aguero, out the door. Like, they're past it. As Brian Clough said, they've shot it. They're bloated. They're overpaid, overpriced prima donnas at this stage. And I don't like to say that about Aguero, because generally Toure gets the flack because of his body language. Generally, Aguero's body language is good, and he's like a nice, chirpy little Argentinian. But I haven't liked his attitude in this Champions League, walking around the pitch most of the time. Okay, and we'll look at Real. Like, try to be as positive as possible, but they're a bit of a mess. To the way they stumbled into this final. There's all this talk now of El Efecto Zidane, the Zidane effect, but I can only remember 1 or 2 decent performances. The Wolfsburg second leg springs to mind. 1 or 2 La Liga games. You can't even count the Clásico because they robbed El Clásico. That was a total robbo where Barca just took the foot off the gas. I mean, what was their plan tonight? There was no real clear system of play. Okay, Toni Kroos seemed to be building well for midfield, but just it all looked quite off the cuff and improvised, with Bale just trying to run as fast as he could with the ball when he got on the ball. 1 or 2 little detalles. Lucas Vasquez late on in the second half had a shocking tackle on Raheem Sterling. Could have easily broken his leg. Should have been a red card, and I was quite bemused to see Sergio Ramos then lobbying right in the ref's face, trying to dispute that yellow card when it should have been a red. I mean, Ramos and Pepe have no shame when it comes, or no scruples when it comes to lobbying and protesting. They really should have just been thankful that wasn't a red card. So just to sum up, it's just such an anticlimax for Madrid to get into the final like this when you compare it to how they sauntered and swaggered their way into the final in 2014 with that 5-0 aggregate win over Bayern. They made a real statement. Whereas tonight, I mean, Atletico will be looking at that and rubbing their hands. Atletico are clear favourites. They've got the momentum. They've got much better purpose and a system and a philosophy and a culture going on there. Whereas Madrid are just an assemblage of expensive players playing off the cuff. Okay, that's that vlog. Hope you enjoyed watching. Feel free to subscribe to the channel, leave comments, likes, whatever you like. Cheers. Hasta luego. Ciao.